Well, folks, today we are going to be discussing the 2026 gubernatorial elections, where we will see Republicans defending 27 governorships to Democrats' 23. With 36 gubernatorial elections that will be held in 2026. Today, we are going to be given our updated 2026 gubernatorial prediction map. So let's begin with the safe seats for the Democrat Party in 2026. This will include places, This will include places like California and Oregon. California, you have incumbent governor right now, Gavin Newsom, who is term limited, will not run for re-election in 2026. He's probably going to run for president. There's a lot of talk who's going to run. Potentially 2024 Democrat presidential nominee Kamala Harris could be the nominee in California. A lot of people vying it out. She is not declared yet, but we'll see. But we expect this state to stay a safe blue, along with Oregon, where you have Tina Kotek, who is up for re-election. Now, Kotek is a less popular Democrat. She's not a very popular governor from the state of Oregon. But at the end of the day, in the state of Oregon, you have a massive advantage for the Democrat Party. The Cook Political Voting Index says it is a D+8. I am not very worried about this in 2026 that Democrats will retain the governorship in Oregon. Now moving on to Colorado, where we will see in Colorado, Jared Polis, who is term limited. We are seeing that Michael Bennet, the senator from Colorado, is leaving his job in the Senate to run for governor in the state of Colorado. This is a D+6 state. We expect that this will stay in Democrat hands in 2026. Included in that are a few states up here in the New England area. Of course, you have Massachusetts. Now, Rhode Island is kind of an interesting one, along with Connecticut. Rhode Island, you have a very, very unpopular governor who is running for re-election right now. So apparently, we're going to see Dan McKee. There are Democrats who want to primary him right now. This is a safe Democrat seat, but he is one of the most unpopular governors in the state. Plus, he has very poor fundraising going into 2026. As of right now, he is declared. He is the incumbent. So as of right now, we believe he will be the nominee. But if all plays out, Democrats will retain that. But that is a seat out of any of the Democrat safe seats to watch is in Rhode Island. I'd also watch in Colorado to see what happens with Michael Bennet. Now, included with that is the state of Illinois with J.B. Pritzker. Now, Pritzker is apparently mulling a bid for the presidency in 2026. This is a D+6 state. He has declared that he is running in 2026 for re-election, setting himself up, staying in the national stage for 2028. Now, we know that his incumbent lieutenant governor right now is running to be the next senator from the state, so he now has a new running mate in 2026, a new lieutenant governor if he wins re-election. But we expect that J.B. Pritzker will win by a comfortable margin in his re-election bid in 2026. In 2022, when it was a relatively good, it was supposed to be a good year for Republicans, Pritzker won by 12.5 points. Fast forward, or go back to 2018, when Pritzker initially won, he won by about 16 percentage points. I would expect more of a margin, 15, 16 percentage points in 2026. And now one more seat that we'd like to look at, and that will be the state of Maryland. We expect this will not be a competitive race in 2026. This will be a safe blue seat. We see that Wes Moore is up for re-election. He's one of the most popular Democrats nationwide. He is seen as a front-runner or a contender for the 2028 Democrat primary or Democrat nomination. This is a D+15 state. We are not worried about this state in the slightest as of right now. Now to look at the safe Republican states. There's a lot of them here. So we'll just kind of go through them real quick. Idaho, Wyoming, South Dakota, Nebraska, South Dakota, Nebraska, Oklahoma, Texas, Alaska. For right now, Alaska, we'll come back to Alaska. Arkansas, Alabama, Florida, South Carolina. We're going to keep Vermont. I know, crazy, Vermont. Yes, this will be a safe Republican seat, even though it gave, in the 2024 presidential election, it gave Democrats their largest margin of victory of 30 points. Phil Scott, who is the incumbent governor in Vermont right now, is running for re-election. He's a very, very, very popular Republican from the state of Vermont. He won his most recent election with 73 percentage points, which is just insane to even consider. But the reality is that his politics are considerably far left. It's like, if you actually look at what he supports, he does not support what is in the Republican platform. He just doesn't. He is a Democrat at the end of the day. He governs like a Democrat. Yes, is he a Republican? But he governs like a Democrat. So this will stay a safe Republican seat as of right now. A couple things that we should talk about here is Alaska. Mike Dunleavy is term limited, cannot run for re-election. Something to keep an eye on. Former Democrat Representative Mary Peltola apparently is not going to run for Senate in Alaska. Sounds like she might want to run to be the Democrat nominee for the gubernatorial election in Alaska. Right now, we have this as a safe Republican seat. If Mary Peltola is in this race, I think we can see this getting much, much closer. But as of right now, this is where we have it, a safe seat in Alaska. Something else to look at in the state of Texas. We're going to see Greg Abbott running in this election, running for re-election. Now, he is the incumbent governor. He's been the incumbent governor since 2014. He was initially elected. And now he is the state's longest serving governor if he were to be reelected in 2026. Now, obviously, we know there's a big fight going on the Senate side. Not a big fight in the Republican primary as of right now. No reason to. He's one of the most popular Republican governors in the country. He's one of the most conservative governors in the country. And you know what? I'm realizing I forgot Tennessee here. One thing to look at, Tennessee, we could see Marsha Blackburn leaving the Senate to run for governor in Tennessee. We know Tommy Tuberville in the state of Alabama is going to run for governor, going to leave his Senate seat. In Florida, we know Byron Donalds and potentially Casey DeSantis are going to duke it out in the primary. Donalds is the only declared candidate as of right now, but Governor DeSantis, Ron DeSantis, is term limited in 2026. Anything else that we want to look at? I think that's all we had for the Republicans as of right now. Now, one state I forgot was Josh Green in Hawaii. Gosh, these always just kind of confuse me down here. But now we'll look at some of the more likely Democrat seats in 2026. There will be places like Minnesota, like New Mexico, like, yes, Pennsylvania, New York, Maine. You know, you could go out on a limb and maybe say, does Kansas have even the slightest chance to stay there? But they don't. They really don't. Looking at Minnesota, Tim Walz, fresh off a national run in 2024, is running for re-election, or most likely will be. I know he hasn't declared quite yet, but all indications show that he's going to run. We expected something in June. Now June passed. Now July. We'll see exactly what happens. Now, in the state of Minnesota, no governor has been elected to a third term in office, but we'll see exactly what happens. I expect if he does run for re-election, he will win. I could see it getting a little closer. I think fresh off all the national attention, could it be a little bit closer in Minnesota? But also you have to remember, this is going to be a historically good year for Democrats, historically speaking. 18 of the last 20 midterms went against the incumbent party, except for the two exceptions in 02 and 98. 98 was the massive backlash to Bill Clinton's impeachment. 02, post 9/11, a lot of unity around that. I expect it to, but all in all, I expect Tim Walz to win re-election. So another place to look at, Pennsylvania. We saw what happened back in 2022, when Shapiro was initially elected. He ran against a guy by the name of Doug Mastriano, who basically took the last 45 days off the election. Shapiro won by 15 points in a year that should have been good for Republicans. At the same time, look, go back to 2018. Tom Wolf wins his re-election bid by almost 18 percentage points here, pushing 20 percentage points here. Between 2018 and 2022, we saw that Democrats lost massive margins in their voter registration advantage they have. But yet somehow, Josh Shapiro still wins re-election. He is one of the most popular governors in America. He is probably the most popular Democrat in America, or popular Democrat governor in America. I could say he's alongside Ron DeSantis. Ron DeSantis, probably the most popular Republican governor in the country. Josh Shapiro, probably the most popular Democrat governor in the state. I expect Josh Shapiro to win re-election pretty handedly going into 2026. Kathy Hochul, we'll see how this plays out. Obviously, she's being primaried right now by her incumbent lieutenant governor right now. We'll see what happens. It appears that Mike Lawler is going to run for re-election in his House campaign or for his House seat. Lawler, remember, beat out, I believe in 22, Sean Patrick Maloney, who is a former, he used to represent New York, no longer. Mike Lawler now holds the seat. He's a moderate Republican, is able to win in a district that I believe is a D+1. Look, it's voted for the Democrats in almost every major election. And yet he's winning by 6 percentage points here. Big news that he's running for re-election for the House of Representatives, but he would have been the most formidable candidate to go against Kathy Hochul. I don't believe that Elise Stefanik, although I believe she is running right now, I don't believe she is the best candidate to win in this election, but also a statewide election like this, I don't think is going to be the top priority for Republicans. I think electing people to the House of Representatives is a much higher priority than trying to elect a governor in the state of New York. That's just where I'm at as of right now. Same thing in Maine. You have Janet Mills, who I don't believe she can run for re-election in 2026. They're trying to get her to run on the Senate side. We'll see exactly how that all turns out. Now, jumping over to the likely Republican seats that will most likely go that way. We'll see Ohio, where Vivek Ramaswamy appears to have the Republican nomination locked down to replace outgoing Governor Mike DeWine. As we all know, Vivek ran in 2024, now is focused on a statewide campaign, building a statewide profile, not a national profile. We'll see exactly how that plays out. Now, the same thing happens in New Hampshire, where you have Kelly Ayotte, who really was the hand-picked successor to popular former Governor Chris Sununu. Ayotte won her election bid by 9 points, seriously outpacing what critics thought she would do. They thought this would be a pickup for Democrats in 2024. It was not. Ayotte pulled through, won by almost 10 percentage points at the same time, literally at the same time, when the state voted for Kamala Harris by 3 percentage points. She went 12 points against the grain here, what we're looking at. 12 points against the grain. So I expect this will stay in Republican hands. Now, on the lean Republican side, we're going to see places like Iowa, like Kansas. Now, Kansas, this is notable. This is the first flip. Let's take a look at Kansas right now. Kansas is currently governed by a lady by the name of Laura Kelly. Laura Kelly, I believe she is term limited in 2026, if I'm correct. Yes, she is term limited in 2026. She won in a very, very tight election back in 2018, a three-way race against Chris Kobach, the former, was he the Secretary of State, maybe was the AG in Kansas. He also worked in the Trump administration, but she won by roughly about 6 percentage points here. You did have a significant third-party bid here in a Greg Orman. Laura Kelly obviously performed very well, goes ahead 2022, wins re-election by a very close margin, about 2 points, wins an extremely, extremely close election here. But now it's over. It's over. She is done. She cannot run for re-election. Now, on the Democrat side, David Tolan, the lieutenant governor of Kansas right now, is seen as the best replacement for her. But we'll see what happens. I don't believe as of right now that he is going to jump in. There's kind of mixed signals, but I believe off the bat this will be a flip for the Republican Party. And as of right now, the only flip that we will see on the gubernatorial election in 2026. Kansas, I believe, will be a flip. This is a lean Republican seat. Remember, this has a partisan voting index of +8. +8, and Laura Kelly won. So I'm not super worried about this. Remember, Kansas voted for Trump by 16 points, voted for him by 14 points, voted for him by 20 points in 2016. Not super worried about the state of Kansas, but I do believe this will be a flip for the Republican Party. You look at Iowa. Iowa's kind of an interesting one right now. You have Kim Reynolds, who is, by all measures, the most unpopular governor in America. So typically, when you have an incumbent who cannot run for re-election, is not running for re-election here, and declines to run, typically you see, that is a bad thing. But that is actually a good thing for Republicans here. She is a very unpopular governor from the state of Iowa. She is not running for re-election here. Now, there's a number of different people. Right now, you have Randy Frienstra, who is a representative from Iowa's 4th Congressional District, Brad Sherman, another big name, Matthew Whitaker. Obviously, he was the ambassador he is the U.S. ambassador to NATO right now. So we'll see what happens, but I believe as of right now, we will keep this as a lean Republican seat, pending any further updates. Now, a few things that we need to address here, and that is Wisconsin, Michigan, Georgia, Arizona, and Nevada. So let's start off with the very competitive election in Nevada. Nevada is very interesting. Nevada was a Democrat stronghold for decades. I mean, look at this. This was a Democrat. The last time it voted for a Republican was Bush in 2004, voted for Obama by 12 points. Remember, this was Harry Reid's home state. Voted for Obama by 7 points. Votes for Clinton by 2 points. Votes for Biden by 2 points. This was a Democrat stronghold. Now, Republicans have made serious inroads with the Hispanic community in Nevada, with the working class community in Nevada. And it's paid off. Republicans flipped Nevada for the first time in 2 decades. They flipped it to the Republican Party. Now you have Joe Lombardo, who is a relatively popular governor who's going to be up for re-election in Nevada. Joe Lombardo, look, he won a toss-up, a very close election, unseated at that time. Steve Sisolak, who is the incumbent governor, won by roughly a point and a half. This was the first sign that Nevada was going to crack for the Republicans. It was clearly trend in that direction. Joe Lombardo is running for re-election. As of right now, Nevada Attorney General Aaron Ford and Steve Sisolak have both showed interest. Aaron Ford is the only declared candidate as of right now. In my predictions, am going to have this as a tilt Republican seat. I believe that there is a structural advantage that Republicans have in the state right now. Could we see it revert back to its Democrat roots? Absolutely. But I don't believe that that's going to happen. I think it's going to be very close. I don't think he's going to win by 10 points. I don't think he's going to win by 5 points. Could he win by 2, 3, 4 percentage points? I think so. I think that's a fair assessment. Now, looking at the state of Arizona, you are going to have Katie Hobbs up for re-election in a state that she won narrowly back in 2022. Remember, this is a state back in 2022. She ran, at that time against Kari Lake, obviously the 2-time loser now in the Senate and on the gubernatorial side, lost a close election to her. Now Katie Hobbs is in the fight for her life, but she's a relatively popular governor in the state of Arizona, a Democrat governor. She's had to work with a Republican legislator. On the Republican side, you have Representative Andy Biggs from Arizona's 5th Congressional District, who was declared, and Karen Taylor Robson, who is a former member of the Arizona Board of Regents and who was a candidate for governor in 2022. Now, on the Republican side, in a general election, Karen Taylor Robson would perform much better. She has much more appeal to moderates, independents, Democrats than someone like Andy Biggs has. That's the reality. Andy Biggs is one of the most conservative members of the House. This is a close election for Republicans. If they don't want to blow this, I would suggest not. And that's why Donald Trump I'd suggest not voting for Biggs. And that's exactly why Donald Trump has endorsed both of them. Donald Trump gave a dual endorsement to Andy Biggs and Karen Taylor Robson. He does not care. He does not care who gets it. It's a co-endorsement. But you can clearly see Andy Biggs is leading in the polls. But in a hypothetical, 5-way matchup right here, Robson does come on ahead in one of them. But still, she would be the better candidate here. I think structurally, Arizona has a Democrat tilt as of right now. I think structurally it is a Republican tilt. But I think in the gubernatorial election in 2026, I think there's enough things going, especially if Republicans nominate Andy Biggs. I could see Democrats winning by a point. Like, I hate to say that, but I really could. I could see that happening in 2026. But ultimately, for now, we are going to keep this as a toss-up state. Now, in the state of Georgia, where you're having very popular governor, she should just stay out of it. That's the reality. But as of right now, it's like Chris Carr did a better job, had a better electoral victory in 2022, very similar to Brian Kemp. It was a very good election. Carr's got roughly $2.5 million cash on hand as of June 30th. On the Democrat side, it seems like the the most likely person who's going to run and be the nominee is Stacey Abrams. You also have seen former Republican Lieutenant Governor of Georgia, Jeff Duncan, potentially running. We'll see exactly what happens here. I don't think that Democrats are going to pick this state up at the end of the day. I think it's going to be very close. I think especially with the election being in a midterm, I think it's going to be tough for the Republicans, but I think Chris Carr is the best nominee that they could possibly have as of right now. I think he's the best nominee statewide that they could nominate on the Senate side or the governor's side. I think this still will be a slight Republican advantage here, but a few missteps, a bad nominee. All of a sudden, this is a Democrat, tilt state. This is a Democrat lean state. We'll see what happens, though. But then, of course, the last two with Wisconsin and Michigan. Wisconsin, you have Tony Evers, who is up for re-election. I don't know if he is term limited. Let's see, where is Wisconsin? Evers is not term limited. It appears that he, expected mid-2025, so we'll find out. Probably will run for re-election in 2028. As of right now, it looks like Tom Tiffany, who is a representative from Wisconsin's 5th Congressional District, could potentially jump in this race. Obviously, he's probably the most well-known Republican that could be in this race. Maybe Eric Hovde. Obviously, he lost in 2024. He was a candidate in 2012. We'll see what happens, though. But as of right now, I would classify Wisconsin as a tilt for the Democrat Party as of right now. Now, in the state of Michigan, you have Gretchen Whitmer, a very popular incumbent governor in a swing state who is term limited in 2026. Right now on the gubernatorial side, it appears that, in the state of Michigan, if we can find it right here, goodness gracious, it appears that either Jocelyn Benson or Garland Gilchrist will be the nominee in 2026. As of right now, Benson is leading all polls that have been taken. On the Republican side, a lot of big names. John James, obviously he is seen as what you could say as the most electable candidate in this race. Maybe Mike Cox is also one of the most electable candidates. He was a former Michigan Attorney General. You have Art Nesbitt, Tom Leonard, who is in this race. But as of right now, I think it's going to be a close election. I think structurally, this is a Democrat tilt state as of right now. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. But ultimately, looking at this map, this says one thing. We have one for sure pickup, and if I had to put something on Arizona, I would say Katie Hobbs holds it as of right now. This is where I have it. So basically, no change. Close elections, very close in Arizona, Georgia, Michigan, Wisconsin, Iowa, Kansas, potentially Alaska if Mary Peltola's in this race. Look in Rhode Island. That could be a very interesting race there. But ultimately, I believe, that there will be one flip as of right now, and that will be in the state of Kansas. And this is my July 2026 gubernatorial election prediction update video. Let me know your thoughts down below, folks. What are your thoughts on this prediction? Any commentary you'd like to add to it, let me know down below. And as always, drop down below, hit that subscribe button. Make sure you never miss another video from us again in the future. And folks, we'll catch you next time.